Hi everyone, Sherwood Small Pets here. So I am here with Sirius. We're just in the kitchen. He's just having a bit of a play slash snack. And I thought I would introduce what I'm going to make my summer series. So once a week I'll do just like something like a pet profile or a how-to or a top 5 or something like that. And then the other video, probably the Thursday video, so I can kind of keep this as a weekly thing, is going to be a video kind of about I don't know. I don't want to say unpopular opinions, but it's going to be like a rant slash an unpopular opinion mixed with education. None of my unpopular opinions are like founded in nothing. It's just they aren't trendy necessarily right now. And I got a lot of interesting feedback from you guys, or some of you guys, over my my makeup declutter. One person was like, "You're a pet channel, stick to pets," and I'm like, oh, "Okay, well, it's actually my channel," and I happen to absolutely love makeup. And another person was like, "You shouldn't bring your opinions about vaccines onto your channel. You know, it isolates your viewers." And I'm like, "Bro, if you're an anti-vaxxer, I don't want you on my channel anyway." But it kind of made me realize that some of the things that I talk about openly with my friends, without any concern, um, might not be as well received by the public, and it's sometimes due to the fact that too many people are able to gain popularity to express their opinions with more validity than facts. And that I blame the internet entirely for that. Don't get me wrong, I love the internet, obviously. I've been on the internet for a very long time. But it also has a lot of drawbacks. It brings people together, but it also separates people in a way that's almost exhausting. And I kind of thought that this would be an area where I can share some of my thoughts on certain things. Most of them are going to be pet related. There's going to be a couple that aren't. So if you're not into that kind of thing, you don't have to watch it. But if you are, hey, we're going to share some, like, this is going to be one of those videos where you, quote, grab a snack. It's not going to be super long, but like, it's one of those videos where you're just like, I'm going to have a snack while I watch this. And you can watch my puppy be an absolute moron. I mean, what's not to love? I thought I'd get started with one that's going to piss everyone off, and I don't care. It is why I think the hashtag adopt don't shop is freaking problematic. And with that, I'm going to give everybody who no longer wants to subscribe to me a second to go ahead and hit the thumbs down button and unsubscribe. Because you can totally hit the thumbs down button, still engagement. Anyway, I actually hate this hashtag. I have been an advocate for adoption, rescue, rehome for as long as I've had animals. And I still am. I still think that if it's the right thing for your household, then absolutely head on down to a shelter, because there are lots of animals waiting there. I am also, however, a huge advocate for ethical breeders of all species. Why, you might ask? Stephanie, there are so many animals in shelters. Why not give all of them homes first? Okay, first off, fair enough. If you want to give a shelter animal a forever home, good on you. I have shelter animals in this house. I will always have shelter animals in this household. It's also something that you consider before you do it. I wish for everyone. Also, by the way, it's turkey. He's deciding between a sock and a turkey. This bringing in a shelter animal, regardless of the species, is something you need to consider about the rest of your household, especially with a dog or a cat. I would say especially with a dog. An animal that's in a cage, it doesn't have to be the, quote, ideal animal for it to still have a totally easily fulfilled life in your home. But as soon as you have an animal that is roaming around your house, potentially chilling out with your family, hanging around your other pets, and being left at home on its own, you have to consider if you have the skill set to look after that animal. That's the first thing. I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. Not every person is equipped, no matter how trendy, to look after a shelter animal. I'm not going to go too much farther into this because I have talked about it before. But the reason that I think this hashtag is so freaking problematic is because we've turned adopting pets into the only logical option for people to admit to openly without being given shit. And that's really silly because a dog or a cat or a guinea pig or a hamster from an ethical breeder is not making room for an animal, is not creating another animal in a shelter. Because the animals that are raised by ethical breeders never end up in shelters. And if they do you know how many ethical breeders constantly watch shelters for animals that are theirs? Or animals that they recognize to get them back? Because while it's in most contracts that if you are unable to look after an ethical breeder's animal, that animal's supposed to go to you. Technically, a person, the owner, can do whatever they want. At that point, that is not the breeder's fault. That is owner responsibility. The other problem with this hashtag, it's the hashtag specifically that bothers me so much, because it should be adopt or shop. You should have both options. You have to match the animal to your home. And all this pressure and all this trend setting, honestly, shelter animals have been around forever. And it's only recently become trendy to adopt them. I'm super glad that it is, because all of us millennials who aren't having children are now going to shelters more often than breeders. And I mean, whatever. But the real problem here is just the fact that too many people think that there's not an option. And the other really big issue is that the adopt don't shop is saying essentially that the only other option that you have besides adopting is the wrong option. And that's not true. First off, it groups mills and ethical breeders into one clump. And that bothers me more than you could possibly understand. There's a rescue right now in Ontario, in my area of the GTA. And they're huge advocates. They're gaining in popularity, and it bothers me a lot, because they're huge advocates of this hashtag, and not just the hashtag, but they think that there should be no breeders until every animal is out of a shelter. Not only is that unrealistic, it's also impossible, because there's ethical breeders. Even if they all stop tomorrow, your shelters will be freaking full. The reason for this is that mills will always exist until we make them no longer exist. And the only way we will ever get them to not exist is by having breeders and shelters work together. Piggles is an exceptional example of this amalgamation where we work. Piggles, Pierce and I from City Pigs worked tirelessly, and Kathy from City Pigs and Caroline from City Pigs worked tirelessly for years to end this stupid stigma that you can't have an ethical breeder and a shelter working together. I've said this before with dogs. Several of the dog breed-specific shelters are started by groups of breeders in ways to protect their dogs. The problem is not ethical breeders. The problem is the mills. And the problem with this hashtag and with people running certain rescues is that they're lumping ethical breeders and mills together. And it's not fair, and it's also not helpful. If you tell a person that there's no difference between getting a puppy from a mill breeder or a backyard breeder than getting one from someone who's been doing things for 20 years, who invests their entire livelihood into their animals, then you are doing, not only are you doing the entire species a disservice, but you're lying. You are not a superior human being if you treat every breeder as if they have fangs, and if you tell everyone that your pet is a rescue. Okay? You aren't special. You made a decision that either is great for your household or it's not great for your household, and you did it anyway, and you wanted the pat on the back. Mills and ethical breeders are not the same. We desperately need ethical breeders in this game, or we will have nothing but horrendously bred animals. And the only things that will suffer besides the animals are owners. You're going to have animals that are not as good as condition. They don't have determined behavior. They won't have the same health benefits. they just won't be as good. Are you trying to break out of puppy jail because Mom's talking? Mom's getting worked up and I'm running away. Sirius? Hi. Hello. It's like, Mom, you're kind of in the way of my vent. Hi. You're not breaking out yet. He wants to go visit his brother. But his brother is also eating. Anyway, I got a little worked up there for a sec. Oh, we got a temper tantrum. I totally forget where I was. But anyway, all this hashtag does is seek to divide people. It's what certain people in certain parts of the rescue community try to use guilt and a sense of superiority to make people feel bad for making a choice that isn't theirs. Choosing a pet, especially a dog or a cat, is a life-altering decision, and it should not be made lightly or with the pressure of society behind you. Not every household is equipped to handle a rescue dog. Not every shelter dog is a rescue. Shelters and rescues of all species are going to different countries and bringing animals in because we do not have the stray dog problem or the abandoned small pet problem that other countries have. It's important to understand that as Canadians. We don't have dogs running all over Ontario on the streets, dying. We don't. People would like you to believe that. And that's not me saying that there aren't lots of dogs that need help. There are. There absolutely are. The problem is we are now saturating the market by putting dogs from other areas, other countries, into our shelters and saying that suddenly that is on the burden of Ontario breeders. And it's not. That's not me saying we shouldn't bring them in, although I think it's getting a little excessive and we are bringing in illnesses that we didn't have before, which is a problem because animals can't advocate for themselves the way people can. Anyway, all this hashtag does is seek to eliminate a choice that you have. And it's very important that you make the right one when it comes to this type of commitment because it is a lifetime commitment for this animal. All animals are a lifetime commitment in my opinion. But a dog or a cat is a decades-long one. And if you think that the only option you have is to go to a shelter, you're misinformed and you're being pressured by society. And I am sorry for that. Like I said, if you can and if you have the skill set or the time or the space or just the emotional ability to look after an animal that comes from a background that you don't understand, then by all means do that. But just recognize that that's not always going to be a good call. And it's also not your business if somebody else doesn't get a shelter pet. It is not on you to decide who is emotionally and ethically superior. Ethical breeders put their entire lives into their animals, of any species. That's not a small thing. Ethical breeders, mills, and backyard breeders are not the same. It's very important that we understand this distinction. And if we could unite against this distinction, that would be wonderful. Because if we could eliminate mills, then we would eliminate the need for shelters. There are not a lot of ethical breeders. And if we could focus on educating people on finding good breeders for when they want a well-bred animal, or going to a shelter and helping them find an ethical shelter, because guess what? Not all shelters are ethical either. There's a beautiful middle ground, and this adopt don't shop hashtag is way too frigging trendy and way too problematic for it to even be a part of the discussion to find a middle ground. We need to understand that everyone needs options. That's what Sirius would like you to all understand today. Now, I'm not saying that shelters can't use the hashtag and all that BS that I know is going to come my way. What I am saying is we have to learn how divisive it is. Because it is. Right, Sirius? Anyway, that's it for Thursday. I will see you on Monday with something light and fluffy. Probably a pet profile. Take care, everyone. Be good to one another. Bye-bye.